In this video, I'm going to talk in more detail what Venus is. I had quite a few questions, asking for specific details, and that's why I decided to do this video, because I want to give a sort of broader and also more in detail description of why it is important to know the Venus position in your chart. As a woman, I think it's very important to know what your Venus is. It's important both for men and women. And Venus is a sort of position. When I sort of tell people about their Venus, they're usually not surprised at all. They usually even nod, or they just agree, because it's not a difficult position. It's not a difficult planet, and if you sort of understand it, you can really use it to your advantage, not in a corrupted kind of way, but I think it's very important to befriend your Venus, because your life will be way more enjoyable. It's not like also a lot of other planets in the chart, like planets sort of correspond to the gods, the names of the gods, the Mercury, the Jupiter, and they're all men. They're sort of more masculine energies, and they're also more sort of complicated. But Venus is a planet that's feminine, and also it's a planet that you need to please. So if you please your Venus, your life is going to be way more enjoyable. You can focus on other aspects way better if you are sort of tuned in with your Venus. And Venus manifests itself in various ways. One is my previous video sort of touches upon it already, and it's basically your relationships. It's what makes you tick, and it's not like Mars. Venus sort of corresponds to what puts you at ease with other people. Relationships that put too much sort of create too much tension and are too problematic, they don't last, hopefully, because they teach you something, but you are not at ease in those relationships. You can't focus on other things. You can't quite happily function and do your creative projects, go to work, I don't know, enjoy your weekends. It's quite difficult to do that. So these are the kind of relationships that don't correspond with your Venus. So when two people meet and they are compatible in terms of their Venus, they have a way more enjoyable sort of union. It's more harmonious, and that's why these kind of relationships last, and that's why it's important to know what your Venus is. Obviously, first of all, it affects your long-term partners and your marriage, but also in general, you will be inclined to have a better time with people that understand your Venus. Sometimes it's not necessarily that you're compatible through Venus, but if you know your Venus, sometimes you can also get along with people of the same sign. Let's say if my Venus is in Taurus, I can also get on with people whose sun or moon is in Taurus. So it's already a certain inclination towards understanding how their mind works and sort of being at ease with it. And because Venus is a planet of pleasure, so if you know your Venus, if your Venus is in a particular position, let's say your Venus is in Virgo, you will be inclined to feel comfortable with, let's say, Venus in Capricorn, and you will most likely have some sort of really mysterious attraction to Venus in Pisces and things like that. It will just happen, and sometimes it will be erotic, because Venus is an erotic planet, but it's not a planet of like instant like sort of sexual attraction, but you will sort of be attracted to those kinds of people. But at the same time, it will also put you at ease. Like if you're compatible in your Venus with another person, you will just be, you know, you will enjoy the same activities basically. So you will go to a club, you know, like a social club, or like I don't know, you'll do yoga, or it also, like, Venus will most likely affect these kind of things, like the things that you do for pleasure. So it's quite, you know, so it's obviously quite straightforward. If you know your Venus and it affects your pleasure, you will get on with people who enjoy the same kind of thing. You know, most likely in terms of your hobbies, you will connect with the same kind of people. So it's not surprising. It's happened to me many times. It's not surprising at all. Then that you find something that you really like, and you feel really comfortable. Sometimes it can be in your, you know, in your career. Sometimes it can be in terms of your hobby, and then you start, you know, asking people for their birthday and then the birth chart, and you realize, oh, okay, that totally makes sense. You know, there is some, quite often in one place that's sustainable. Venus is also a planet that makes things sustainable. It's not like Mars. It's not like an instant pleasure. So that's why, like, things that are just like clubs, like nightclubs, that's quite instant. People come and go. It's not the same thing. But things that last and things that are sustainable, and you sort of go there again and again and again, and you build some sort of community and you'll enjoy it, and it's lovely. That's Venus. That's definitely Venus at play, because it's pleasurable and lasting. So quite often in those kind of places, you have a sort of dominant energy going on. So that's one way of looking at it. I'm not going to go too much into your intimate relationship, because it's quite sort of, it sort of gets more complicated, because it really depends then on your on a particular sign, because different signs react with Venus in a different way. Some signs are more compatible with Venus than others. So some signs really sort of stimulate Venus in your chart, and other signs sort of make it less stimulating. So it's a little bit more complicated, and maybe I'll dedicate another video to that. Okay, so another thing about Venus, Venus, because it's a planet of pleasure, it also affects money and sort of how you earn money, because it gives you comfort in life. It's a planet of comfort. So if you befriend your Venus, you're going to attract things to your life that are going to make your life more comfortable. If you sort of like, if your Venus, for example, if your Venus is in Taurus, but you have a very ascetic sort of lifestyle, you contradict your Venus, and it's gonna create problems for you on like small day-to-day basis. You know, things will, I don't know, break down. It will not be enjoyable for you. So it's quite important to know where your Venus is, because if you please your Venus, you will be in harmony with that position, and then, you know, your life will just sort of be more soothing, because Venus is not there to create problems for you. Venus is there to make your life enjoyable. It wants to give you pleasure, comfort, fun sometimes, but not like crazy intense sort of like I don't know, I don't know, mind-blowing kind of experience. It's more about enjoying life, you know, and even if it's camping, you know, it's not something intense, and surviving, but it's more about really enjoying it and being in a good company and having a good time. Venus is very much like that. So if you befriend your Venus, you can sort of figure out what activities will give you pleasure and what activities won't give you pleasure, what kind of people you should connect with, what people you shouldn't connect with, and also how you should invest your money. And also, quite often, Venus affects your career. Quite often, if you base your career on your Venus, you are going to have a really good time, because it's not going to be a burden for you. You're going to enjoy it. It's going to come natural, and people just go, oh wow, you know, you're amazing. It's how should I put it? It's very sort of it makes you shine, and it makes you at ease. So it's not going to be a career. It's not like if you're very career driven, maybe Venus is not the best planet to focus your career on. If you're really ambitious and you just want to climb the ladder, maybe not. But if you want to enjoy your career, if you want to come to the office and have a good time, and if you want people to really appreciate you for what you do in terms of like, oh, you know, like without the stress, and sort of like really enjoying that working together, Venus is a really good position. And maybe I'm a little bit biased. That's why I think you should base your career choices on your Venus, because then your career is not gonna be you know, some sort of jungle for you. Again, Venus is not like that. It's going to be an enjoyable experience for you. You're going to really enjoy it. You know, you will, I don't know, bake cakes together. I'm being a little bit too, I'm exaggerating this. But even if it's something really extreme, let's say if your Venus is in Aquarius, you know, and you end up doing something that's really sort of wacky for your career, and something that's not conventional, you're going to get more joy out of it, rather than doing something really conventional. It's just as an example, you know. And if you have like a really physical Venus, you'll get more joy. If you're like Venus in Virgo, maybe you'll get quite a bit of joy from helping people, from doing nursing, or being a doctor, you know, or like really looking after other people. Like it's just gonna give you a little bit more purpose, rather than just pushing all the time. It's gonna make things a little bit more enjoyable for you. But also, Venus does stand for money, and if you please your Venus, most likely you will be rewarded. Maybe not straight away, but you will be rewarded financially. It depends on other sort of aspects in your chart. You have to look at your Saturn and your Jupiter. They play quite an important role in your chart. But Venus is a kind of planet that is a little bit easier, because Saturn and Jupiter positions, it takes time to work this out. But Venus is a sort of kind of thing that you can almost take it for granted. It's just gonna work, you know. It's just gonna work. Whatever you do, if you follow your Venus, it will work. It will. And you know, it might not be as, especially if you're very ambitious, it might not be as rewarding as you would like it to be, but you will be very much appreciated, and you will feel it's a sort of like it can be both financial reward, but also emotionally it can be quite comfortable. So I don't know, if you're, you know, I don't know, I think stress is a killer. So that's why I like to suggest to people that I consult that, you know, look at your Venus and try to work it out, how to incorporate that in your life. Sometimes it can contradict with other parts of your chart. And then in this case, maybe, you know, it doesn't have to be a career. You can see it, you know, you can do art for pleasure, or you can volunteer. You can do things that don't necessarily, it's not 9 to 5 kind of thing, it can be something else. But it will be equally rewarding, and it will give you, it will sort of support everything else that you do, and not the other way around. Because you obviously need to have the money to pay for rent and all the rest, but you also need to have emotional pleasure. And Venus is precisely that. So if you incorporate Venus into your lifestyle, you're going to have a really good time. You will balance other things way more successfully. Focus on your Venus. Look what position you have, whether you have Venus in Aries or Virgo, whatever else. Look at which house it sits in, and really sort of focus on that. There is quite a bit of information on the internet. If you have a specific question, you can ask me. If you want to have a personal consultation, I'll be happy to do that as well. But I would really encourage people to really learn and understand the Venus, because it's your goddess and you need to please her and she will pay back. It's a very, very generous position in your chart. So I'd encourage everyone to look at it and try to understand it and try to incorporate that into your life, whether it's career or your hobby or your relationships, or sort of like just in general what sort of people you hang out with. It's quite important, and it will make your life easier, and it will bring a lot of pleasure and also reward, both financial and sort of emotional sort of ease with other people. So yeah, so that's Venus for you. And if you have any other questions, post them below. I'm really happy to answer your comments, and don't hesitate and get in touch, and I'll try to answer as much as I can, as much as my time allows. And I hope you've enjoyed this video. I tried to elaborate as much as I could, but I also tried to be specific, and I hope it makes a little bit more sense now. And if you have particular requests about what kind of information you would like to receive, I'm happy to make another video and answer those questions and provide that information for you. So don't hesitate, and don't feel bad about messaging me. I'm happy to receive your responses. Thank you very much.